For decades, Carol Burnett was Hollywood's shining light of kindness. The lady who could make the whole country crack up with just a lifted eyebrow or a quiet joke. To tons of people, she was all about class, sweet, gentle, and never mean. But behind that famous grin was a part of her that only a handful ever spotted. The side that got shoved too much, hurt way too bad. In her 90s now, Burnett finally spilled about the few guys who stepped over lines she couldn't let go. And out of them, there was one whose backstabbing hit harder than any big news story. One who switched her up for good. The show that made a star and wrecked a friendship. Back in the 1970s, the Carol Burnett Show wasn't just some regular TV thing. It was a big deal. Every Saturday night, families piled around their living room TVs to catch Carol Burnett and her crew bringing giggles into homes across America. The spark between Carol and her co-star Harvey Korman was buzzing, real, and super smooth. Together, they turned basic skits into hilarious hits. Fans loved them. She was the warm center. He was the sharp side. And their rhythm was spot on. Off the screen, they had a solid friendship based on respect for each other, trust, and tons of years teaming up creatively. For over 10 years, they looked like they couldn't be split. But under that image of togetherness, trouble was building up quietly. By 1974, the splits started showing. The show was in its 7th season, pulling in huge viewership numbers and rave reviews. CBS had just signed it on for 3 more years, and the group had grabbed their 4th Emmy. From the outside, it all seemed awesome. But inside Studio 33 at Television City, stuff had shifted. Harvey, who used to be the fun, smart comedian everybody liked, had begun to drift off. Costume designer Bob Mackie, who saw the drama up close, later shared that Harvey had turned grumpy and snappy. He'd flip out over tiny stuff, Mackie said. You could see something was bugging him. Some folks thought it was envy. Carol's stardom had started to outshine his. Even though Harvey was key to the show's wins, people saw it as her gig, the Carol Burnett Show. And that stung. He was full of pride, driven, and didn't want to be stuck in anybody's shade, not even Carol's. The bad vibes bubbled for months until one April afternoon when it all exploded. The team was practicing an episode with British singer Petula Clark, who had jetted in from London. During one of Harvey's parts, a light glitch left half his face dark. Usually he'd just brush it off. Instead, he blew up. After all these years, can't anybody fix this? He yelled, throwing his script down. The studio got dead quiet. Everybody stopped cold. Even Clark, who had just gotten there. Director Dave Powers tried to chill him out, but Harvey was way too mad to hear it. Then came the words that flipped it all. Even Carol doesn't notice. He barked. That comment, tossed out but super sharp, cut Carol deeper than he knew. She got up slow from her spot in the seats, her face steady but strong. Harvey, she said flat out, I've had it. If you can't show respect to everybody here, you don't have to stick around. The place went hush. Not a peep, not a noise. According to Bob Mackie's book, even more laughs. You could hear a mic hit the ground. Harvey stood still, his face white. Then, without saying more, he stormed off the set. Nobody chased him. Carol hung back, chilling quietly in her chair for almost 30 minutes, eyeing his empty spot. I didn't want it to go down like this, she murmured. But he crossed the line. Within hours, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner put out the headline, Harvey Korman walks out on the Carol Burnett Show in rehearsal. Hollywood buzzed with chatter. Reporters guessed that Carol had hit her limit after months of strain. For 3 days, whispers packed every studio hallway. Pals rang up asking what went down, but Carol kept mum. She turned up for work, grinned, and kept rolling. Vicki Lawrence, her best buddy, tried hitting up Harvey, but he ghosted. Then on the third morning, CBS got a ring. It was Harvey. "I got a chat with Carol," he said, his voice wobbly. When she grabbed the phone, he just said, "I messed up. I want to come back the next day." He showed up at Studio 33. The crew eyed him as he said sorry to the whole group, then faced Carol. "I lost sight of why I got into this." He owned up. She gave a soft grin, stepped over, and gave him a hug. The room burst into claps, but everybody there could sense that something got shattered. The easy laughs they used to share wouldn't ever feel the same. Harvey hung on until 1977 before dipping out low-key. Years later, when quizzed about him in an Entertainment Tonight chat, Carol's answer was kinda sweet and sad. "Harvey got me giggling more than anybody and handed me the worst headaches." That blow-up, later called the Studio 33 meltdown, turned into one of Hollywood's top-secret tales. For Carol, it was the time she figured out that even fun has boundaries, and that niceness, when pushed too hard, can get tough as nails. The husband who broke her trust. While Burnett dealt with set drama like a pro, her home life was falling apart. Behind the laughs was a marriage that used to be Hollywood's dream team, her tie with producer Joe Hamilton. They hooked up in 1960 on The Gary Moore Show, where Burnett was climbing as a star, and Hamilton was already a big-deal producer. Years older than her, he turned into her love and her shield. When The Carol Burnett Show kicked off in 1967, he was the boss behind the scenes, steering her every move. For years, they crushed it, the ideal mix of feeling and smarts. But by the mid-1970s, that vibe started, Ed cracking. As the show's hits piled up, Hamilton got more bossy. He wanted last say on who guested and what got scripted, often ditching touching bits to stick to just funny. Carol fought it. "Folks need emotion as much as giggles," she told him. A comment that kicked off a dragged-out, hurtful split. Then the whispers hit. In August 1979, TV Guide dropped a nameless hint that a longtime producer was cheating with a young CBS editor. No names dropped, but everybody on set knew the score. Burnett zipped her lips until 1982, when her lawyer dug up worse dirt. Joe had sneakily started Hamilton Productions, claiming spin-offs from The Carol Burnett Show as his own, like Mama's Family, an idea from her bits. The stab in the back was total. Burnett faced him down at their CBS spot. "You think it's okay to make what we created together into your solo thing?" she asked. His comeback was freezing. "It's biz, Carol, not feelings." That sealed it. On March 3, 1983, she slapped down divorce papers. The court fight turned into one of Hollywood's messiest money scraps. Reporters mobbed the courthouse. Through the mess, Carol kept it together. When the ruling dropped in 1984, she held on to the show's name and half the rerun cash. Joe snagged 40%. "We were killer partners until he forgot I was more than that," she dished to People magazine. After the split, she tossed him one last note. White flowers at his funeral in 1991, with a card that said, "I wish you peace, Joe. As for me, the night Hollywood got chilly." Hollywood dug flash, but it also dug ranks. And in 1968, Cary Grant was king. That year he snagged a Lifetime Award at the Beverly Hilton, and Carol Burnett, then America's top TV funny lady, was in the crowd. After the event, she strolled up to say congrats, rocking a red Bob Mackie dress, beaming with wins. But what went down next turned into one of Hollywood's coldest T-snaps. A director at the table cracked, "Carrie, you caught Carol's show? The nation's hooked." Grant grinned sly and shot back, "Oh, that one, where she flails her arms, pulls faces, and hams it up. I don't get why folks dig that junk." The room iced over. Burnett didn't budge. She eyed him steady and said, "Maybe folks like chuckling with real people over perfect ones." Then she bounced. 2 days later, the Los Angeles Times tossed a tiny headline: Cary Grant and Carol Burnett. A chilly meetup. Fans flipped out. CBS put out a defense for her. Carol Burnett stands for humor that's kind and smart. Laughs from understanding, not dumb stuff. Grant stuck to his guns, telling Variety he liked fancier funny, like European vibes. It was a low-key dig, but everybody caught it. The beef trailed them quietly for years. Paramount pitched them a team-up in a 1970 musical. She passed, blaming schedule clashes. On the down low, she told buds, "I won't gig with a guy who snubs women's giggles." Grant never said sorry, but later confessed on the sly, "Carol's such a tough chick, she threw me off." The mess became a big deal, not just for Burnett's poise, but for her grasp on clout. She didn't clap back in papers. She clapped back with wins. In 3 years, she had 3 Emmys, and the Carol Burnett Show turned into a key piece of American TV. The long silence of SNL. Of all the digs Burnett took, the one that burned longest came from a dude she hardly knew. Lorne Michaels, the guy behind Saturday Night Live. For almost 50 years, Carol Burnett, the trailblazer who cleared paths for women comics, never got asked to host SNL. The skip became one of TV's weirdest puzzles. The year was 1975. SNL had just started while the Carol Burnett Show ruled CBS. Reviewers floated that Burnett hosting SNL would link 2 eras of laughs. Michaels supposedly brushed it off, saying she doesn't match the show's vibe. According to Live from New York, Back Bay Books, 2002, one staffer remembered Michaels dubbing her the look of old TV. In 1981, The Washington Post said Burnett had shown interest in hosting, but NBC ghosted. Fans blew up. Hundreds penned notes asking why their fave funny person was getting snubbed. NBC's reply was fuzzy. Guest hosts get picked by the season stuff. Insiders said she felt bummed on the quiet, but never went public. During a 1980s spot on Larry King Live, she grinned weak and said, "Maybe I'm just not sharp enough for them." Time rolled on. Then, in 2023, NBC gave her props with Carol Burnett, 90 years of laughter and love. When quizzed if she wished she'd hosted SNL, she shot back, "I guess they didn't want me, but I didn't want them either." That one zinger shattered 50 years of quiet and lit up the web. Thousands of fans swarmed social under hashtag #InviteCarol2SNL, pushing NBC to fix it at last. Burnett's vibe was straight. Niceness is strength, and quiet can roar more than payback. The mockery that became a lawsuit. By the 2000s, fresh comedy waves had rolled in. Bolder, wilder, often nastier. Among them was Seth MacFarlane, the mind of Family Guy. In 2006, one bit parodied Burnett's big character, the Charwoman. But instead of props, the scene poked fun at her look in a flirty spot. For Burnett, then 73, it hit like a smack. On April 16, 2007, she sued 20th Century Fox and MacFarlane for $2 million, saying they used her image without okay and trashed her rep. "I'm not after cash," she said in a video clip. "I just want folks to recall that some characters live in the audience's hearts." The suit grabbed big spotlight. Pundits argued if spoofs could flip to rude. In July 2007, the judge tossed the case as fair use, but Burnett scored another way. Folks mostly backed her. Entertainment Weekly wrote later, "She lost in court. She won in books." Years on, at CBS's 70th Bash, Burnett and MacFarlane were in the same row. When Cam swept the crowd, MacFarlane dipped his head nice. Carol skipped it. She just grinned and clapped to the beat. For her, that was the end. Quiet, classy, and total. Carol Burnett's tale is one of giggles, sticking by folks, and tough lessons. She dealt with backstabs, rudeness, and ego, but never dropped her style. In the close, her quiet said more than any fight. So spill which bit do you think got her worst? The backstab, the slam, or the poke? Hit me in the comments. And remember to like, sub, and hang tight for more hidden Hollywood scoops.